A bunch of user data and only demanding $20 million. Also, in your hacking news roundup, things get embarrassing for a notorious ransomware gang, and while paying the ransom doesn't always make the bad guys go away. But first, Coinbase has done what all good companies do when they suffer a severe data breach: have their CEO make a scripted but seemingly off-the-cuff selfie video conveying a sense of concern but also resilience. Coinbase's boss revealed that some of their customer support agents were contacted by cyber criminals who successfully bribed them out of a bunch of customer data. We're talking things you might expect, like names and contact information, but also images of your government-issued ID, along with your crypto balances and transaction history. The perfect data set for social engineering scammers wanting to trick you out of your crypto. But it potentially gets a hell of a lot darker than that. Recently, there's been a whole array of kidnappings targeting people with large crypto wallets. Just last week in Paris, kidnappers targeted the daughter of a crypto executive, trying to drag her off the street and into their van. They eventually gave up and drove off. But given this latest breach reveals crypto balances, along with the exact geographic coordinates of where you sleep every night, we might be seeing more headlines like this. The cyber criminals have demanded a $20 million ransom from Coinbase in exchange for deletion of the data, but the company has pulled an Uno reverse card, instead launching a $20 million bounty for anyone who can provide information leading to the conviction of the bad actors. And whilst Coinbase has received a decent bit of praise for their defiance, let's be real, the company offshores a lot of their customer support to countries where the wage out will have made them a hell of a lot easier to bribe. And that payment is about to get real expensive for the company, because it's somewhere in the region of $180 million. There is some good news. Coinbase says the stolen data only amount of their monthly transacting users, but that is still potentially, if you are one of the unlucky ones and have fallen for one of the myriad of scams that have come your way directly as a result of this, Coinbase has pledged to reimburse you. That is, provided you were scammed before their public disclosure on May 15th. Speaking of your personal data in the hands of bad guys, ever Googled yourself and found your full name, address, phone number listed on some sketchy people search site? Yeah, me too. Welcome to the world of data brokers, a delightful bunch of companies that quietly scrape your...
Do you see Saudi Arabia becoming a sort of similar ally to the United States? Because I certainly, I'm a big sports fan, and I know Saudi Arabia is sort of monopolising sport. They've just partnered up with Dana White from the UFC, and they pretty much own all the rights to boxing now. I think eventually all the boxing managers will become obsolete, and they'll all answer to Turki Al-Sheikh, who's running the entertainment there. But Saudi Arabia, I could be way off the mark with this, by the way, but I seem to see a lot of collaborations, let's call them, with other countries and Saudi Arabia. Do you see anything materialising there, given their footprint in the Middle East?
So I think what Saudi Arabia has done really well is they've been a close ally of the United States, and they have been a massive geopolitical player in the Middle East for decades without anybody really noticing. If you're from the Middle East, you know that Saudi Arabia is a power player, right? UAE defers to Saudi Arabia, Qatar defers to Saudi Arabia, Bahrain defers, everybody defers to Saudi Arabia. The conflict in the Middle East is really between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Those are the two power players. Israel's outside of that, right? It's really Sunni Islam versus Shia Islam. That is the major conflict in the Middle East. So the fact that we're just now kind of catching up because of the changes that NBC is doing throughout, or the prince is doing throughout Saudi Arabia, we're all waking up to the fact that Saudi Arabia has more clout and power than we imagined. Their internal policies, as they begin to force, to hospitality, to etc. Like, that's a good move, in large part because these oil-rich countries are trying to find a way to prepare themselves for the next century. They know their oil is going to run out. I think UAE is anticipating that they have about 5 years left. They have about 70 years worth of oil. Then what? These are multi-billion-dollar oil fields, huge economies that have developed a social dependence on their crude oil, their natural resources. If they don't have something planned for the next generation, they're just going to go broke, and they're going to go right back to being Bedouins as fast as oil rich. So that's a very long day. I think we will see Saudi Arabia continue to grow in impact and power. I think it's still exploring what it's going to use to be that future professional athletics. UAE has been exploring AI and robotics. So both oil-rich collegiate Arab countries that are trying to build a pathway to future wealth.
It's not bad option, sport and entertainment. I suppose that's going to be around for a long period of time. Sort of going back to Israel now, and we'll kind of step away from the geopolitics discussion. I see this question, I don't know if it's been put to you before, but I've seen it been put to others, so I kind of want to get your take on it. So obviously Mossad have infiltrated Iran, the nuclear bases, at great precision, you could argue, and everything the stars seem to have aligned for them to do Operation Golden Lion, is that what they called it? How come they missed the boat so much on Hamas and Palestine, but just literally all over, they've been fixated on bigger operations?
And it's my drop the ball. People forget that defending the homeland is very different than executing conflict abroad. The homeland is technically and bureaucratically slow. Consider what happened on October 2nd. The border that was under protection, that was ultimately attacked, the actual areas were under IDF control. So it was the Israeli Defense Force, the military, that was charged with protecting the perimeter. Shin Bet is their internal intelligence wing. Shin Bet's job is to collect intelligence on any sort of threat to the homeland within the homeland. Simultaneously, you have Mossad. Mossad is the external intelligence branch. Their job is to collect intelligence from abroad that has implications on protecting the homeland. In order for an attack like October 7th to happen, either somebody has to make a mistake between those three organizations, or conspiracy has to happen and they have to look the other way why a devastating attack happens. I understand the appeal that most people have to believing it's a conspiracy, but probability wise, somebody just fucked up. Somebody saw something. Somebody saw suspicious activity, practice drills. They saw the lead up of an attack. They escalated up their chain of command, and somewhere up the chain of command, it didn't get relayed, or it didn't get validated, or it got lost in the shuffle. And then an attack happened, and then the only people who could respond to the attack were the Mossad, not Shin Bet, right? And then after all the tragedy occurred, which was in a moment, right? Tragedy occurred only then, pointing fingers and coming up with reasons that help justify how this happened. What people don't consider is the day Israel prior to October 7th. Nothing like that. That doesn't mean they had never tried. It means they were never successful. CIA believe that all people are born with a spy secret superpower. For some people, that means they can win deals. For others, they can spot liars. Some can even seduce lovers. I built a free 3-minute test to help reveal to you exactly what your secret hidden superpower is. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, take the test, and start using your spy superpower. So every day of success that the IDF and Mossad and Shin Bet had to their credit only disappeared because there was one day where something didn't happen right. Something was broken, and that day an attack happened. It is the same story with 9/11. It was very difficult for CIA and FBI and FAA to all cooperate and all share information and all communicate before a terrible tragic attack happened. It doesn't mean that this was the only time a tragic attack was planned. There were many tragic attacks that got shut down before they ever saw the light of day. But nobody talks about those. What we talk about is when the actual event happens. So I think that we're going to see they change some internal processes in Israel to make up for the loss of peace. That's why I think we see Mossad so brazen in their unique attacks using their attacks with a drone base across the Iranian border, their constant complete obliteration of Hezbollah and Hamas. This is them trying to both secure their borders.
National
How to avoid Amazon? Which music streaming service is the most effective?
Brave blocks Windows recall from screenshotting your browsing activity. Recall, I think, is a terrible idea. Taking snapshots of your computer every few seconds and then storing that somewhere is a privacy nightmare. VPN's top download charts as age verification law kicks in the UK. So on the UK App Store, if I go to top 3 apps, the number 1 app in the UK at the moment is Proton VPN. And that's a fantastic choice because that's my recommended VPN and the one that I use. If I click open here, you can see that I am currently connected to the Netherlands, even though I'm not in the Netherlands. I'll talk more about Proton VPN later and why I recommend it. But notice there are other VPN providers here. Number 2, we've got ChatGPT, and then 3, NordVPN. 3rd most popular app. 4th, VPN Super Unlimited. 5, Free VPN, etc., etc. Now, as you scroll down, number 10, a VPN product as well. Various VPN products are listed here, including browsers that have built-in VPNs, Surfshark at 25, etc. But I'm glad to see that Proton is the number 1 downloaded VPN because that is the VPN that I suggest that you use if you're in the UK, but basically anywhere. Notice what's happening across the world. Governments are trying to restrict access to social media websites and others. Here's just an update from Australia. YouTube to be included in Australia's teen social media ban. They are telling us that they are stopping teenagers from accessing various websites. But now what's happening is Reddit, X, Blue Sky, Wikipedia, Discord, other websites have been caught in this. I'm not sure how Australia is going to implement this ban, but in the UK, they expect you to either do a scan of your face or upload your ID document or upload your driver's license as an example or your passport. Just at the very time that we had this massive leak with an application like T-App leak worsens with second database exposing user chats. On Friday, an anonymous user posted confidential information on the internet that included driver's licenses and selfies uploaded by members to verify they are women, as well as photos and images shared in comments. Their DMs were leaked. Private information about them. T verifies that you're a woman with access only granted after providing a selfie and government ID verification. The UK government seems to think that this is a good idea, that you upload really confidential information about yourself to third-party authorization services. Now, on certain websites, that isn't necessarily a UK company. It could be a third-party US company. So your personal data is now being stored by another country that perhaps doesn't have the same privacy laws as the country you're in. Do you really want your personal data stored around the world and stored on many, many sites? Now, there are various ways that your age can be verified, including credit card checks, photo ID matching, and estimating the age with a selfie. It's hilarious that they do all of this and then you can just bypass it all with a VPN. Now, I'm going to talk more about VPNs later in the video, but I just want to emphasize the point that governments are pushing towards this verification of who you are. In Australia, UK, looks like Norway's looking at this. The US has got this, for instance, in Florida, etc. Different parts of the world are implementing different methods, but it seems that 1984 is looking like a handbook from governments rather than a warning what they shouldn't be doing. Now, Proton VPN is my recommended VPN. I will talk about them in more detail later, but I'm glad to see that many people in the UK are downloading Proton VPN rather than some other dodgy VPN service. If in doubt, download Proton, download Brave, use Brave as your browser, and Proton as your VPN. We'll now get into the technical details, but if nothing else, look at using Brave as your browser and Proton as your VPN. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate about those recommendations. You always do when you recommend these type of things, but that's what I use. I use Proton, I use Brave. I've been using them for a long time based on the recommendations of people in the cybersecurity space as well as people in the privacy space. I give you a lot of reasons in this video why you should use them and how to configure Brave to make sure that you're not tracked easily.
Secure analysis.
Now, before we get started, how good is the web browser that you're currently using? One of the best things I think you can do is go to the EFF website, so the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is a leading nonprofit defending digital privacy, free speech, and innovation. Done that for a long time. Under their tools section, if you go to cover your tracks, they have a section here where you can test how good your browser is. Let's stop the animation here. They have this option where you can test your browser for tracking and fingerprinting. You can use a real tracking company if you want to, or you can uncheck that option. I'll simply test my Brave browser using the tracking option. Now, please note, I'm not using a VPN in this example. I'm simply using Brave. I'm on a Starlink router in this case. Notice we're told that in my tests, I have strong protection against web tracking. What does your browser do? Is my browser blocking tracking ads? Yes. Is my browser blocking invisible trackers? Yes. Am I protected from fingerprinting? Yes, my browser has a randomized fingerprint. So a huge amount of information here provided about what device I'm using and other information about my browser. You can go through this detail and see how good your browser is. Now, the browser that I use day to day is Brave for many reasons. Here's one example. Almost 490,000 trackers and ads have been blocked since I installed Brave. I've saved almost 8 gigabytes of bandwidth, saved about 7 hours of time because ads, as an example, are being blocked. But notice Brave has just got a little bit better. Bleeping Computer posted this article on the 23rd of July. Brave blocks Windows recall from screenshotting your browsing activity. Recall, I think, is a terrible idea. Taking snapshots of your computer every few seconds and then storing that somewhere is a privacy nightmare. I also think that it's not great from a cybersecurity point of view, because if that information gets hacked, a hacker gets access to all kinds of confidential information about you.
Windows recall feature is found. Do you want to proceed with the extractions given the GUID that it's found? Yes, I'll type in yes. And with that, it has determined all of the captured windows. It has seen all of the images that I've seen present and include a little bit of a summary here. So we could actually open that up in Notepad if we wanted to, or see the full extraction folder. You know what? That's probably worthwhile too. Let me open that up in Explorer. Here we are in everything here. This gets the whole image store with everything added with a .jpeg file extension. So it's a little bit easier to parse. And then the total recall.txt explains everything that it saw with window titles, the timestamps, etc. And you can see even, again, the command prompt, just from running strings. I was doing that earlier. Rick Astley latest single. All right. Music festival. Yep. I'll admit I don't have a ton of good data to show you this in the spooky sense, but I hope your imagination can run wild on literally just, hey, me Googling Total Recall and everything I've done in the past couple of moments already being extracted, accessible, and within Recall.
So Brave software says its privacy-focused browser will block Microsoft's recall from capturing screenshots of Brave windows by default to protect users' privacy. There is a lot of criticism about Microsoft recall. I think it's an awful idea. This is just another good reason to ditch Windows and start using Linux.
Was it Windows? Oh, Mac OS? Oh, don't worry. I can save you. Install Linux.
So this article is from Bleeping Computer, but on the Brave website, we're told that Brave blocks Microsoft recall by default. Microsoft recall was first announced in May 2024, and it got a huge amount of pushback from people in the cybersecurity space as well as the privacy space. Absolute nightmare, taking full screen screenshots every few seconds and storing them in a plain text database, which left it open for exploitation by anyone, including malware. So Microsoft rolled this back, but has now brought it back again. When you use Brave, Microsoft Recall is disabled by default. You can enable it if you really want to, but if you're privacy focused, you probably don't even want to use Windows. And if you have to, then fortunately Brave will block Microsoft Recall by default. Now, this video is titled Best Browser. I think, in my opinion, Brave is one of the best browsers out there, if not the best browser, just for general use. I'm sure I'll get a lot of comments telling me that I'm wrong, but let me show you some information from the EFF talking about good browsers to use. They will often recommend that you use Tor. Tor, however, does have some restrictions. As an example, a lot of websites will block Tor. As an example, it's a lot slower than a traditional browser. But notice here, using a fingerprint-resistant browser. This is from the EFF Cover Your Tracks website. Some newer browsers were built to thwart fingerprinting, such as the Tor browser and Brave. So you'll notice that in this document, they will use randomized information to stop tracking. One of the worst browsers you can use is Chrome, as an example. So don't use Chrome. Have a look at Brave. Don't take my word for it. Have a look at the EFF website. Now, another good place to go is privacyguides.org, another nonprofit. They talk about recommended browsers. So just like the EFF, they recommend Tor in many cases, but notice other browsers that they recommend are here, including Brave. They talk about the good and bad about browsers. And on the left-hand side here, they talk about, for instance, desktop browsers versus mobile browsers. So on a phone, as an example, their recommended browser is Brave, which includes a built-in content blocker and privacy features, many of which are enabled by default. Brave is also built upon Chromium, so it should feel familiar and minimal website compatibility issues. If you're used to Chrome, you'll find Brave is really good. Let me just give you a very simple example of how bad Chrome is. Let's go to this website and look at this ad-infested mess. You've got an advert playing in the bottom right here. You've got adverts sort of everywhere on this website. Terrible website. How you can even use Chrome in situations like this, I don't know. Notice the difference with Brave. So with Brave, I'll go to exactly the same website. And notice I don't see ads. But notice no ads, that versus this absolute disaster. So it's got a built-in content blocker. It's going to block a lot of trash. And it has privacy features built in. They do talk about the recommended Brave configuration and what you should do if you're on Android or iOS. So as an example here, notice I've got my shields up. You are going to want to enable shields on various websites and then decide which options you want to enable for both Android and iOS. But Brave is their recommended choice on a mobile phone. If we scroll down, there are other browsers listed here. For the desktop browsers, they recommend Mulvad browser, which is based on Tor, and then further down here, they'll mention Firefox, but gives you warnings about Firefox. And then they also mention Brave, but also gives you a warning about Brave. Now, what's your recommended browser? Do you use Tor? Tor is great, but has some other restrictions. For just daily use, I would use Brave. So once you've installed Brave and you start it up for the first time, you can set it as your default browser or you can skip that option. I'm going to set it as my default browser. Now, because this is a Mac, I'm going to say use Brave as the default browser. Then you can choose your theme, match the system, light mode or dark mode. I prefer dark mode, so I'm going to set that and click next. I don't want to help participating in stuff, so I'm going to say maybe later. I'm definitely not going to send diagnostic information to developers, and I'm not going to share product insights. So what it looks like when it starts up, a bunch of stuff on the edge here that I don't like, including crypto stuff. So I'm going to click on customize to remove
Morning.
options.
Hi.
The thing is, I don't want to show background image. You can decide to do that and then decide which
Let me know 3.0.
show. I'm going to remove it, but you definitely don't want to show sponsored images. So I'm going to remove that option as well. Under Brave stats at the top here, you can see absolute alert trackers and ads are blocked, but I'm going to remove those statistics, top sites. I'm going to remove that as well. Brave news, I don't want it, so I'm not going to turn that on. I'm not going to show the clock. I don't want to show all these parts. Slide to parts. Do that. Get it down to the end. This boy is going to use proton graving and search. You can decide which search you want to use. So you've got this option, show search widget on the new tab page. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to turn that off. So I have a very basic option here. I'm going to click on use and say no thanks. Very, very basic. So if I open up a new tab, it looks like that. I don't want bookmarks, so I'm not going to show the bookmarks bar. I'm going to hide that as well. I don't like this thing, so hide the Brave quote icon to hide it. Various options can be shown here, including the AI. I'm going to hide that. I'm going to hide the VPN option. The bullet I'm going to hide. Sidebar, you can keep if you want to. It's up to you. And search, you can keep. All this is customize this as you like. I like to have a very basic setting. So I search for something here like my name. Notice by default that it's using the Brave search engine. I definitely don't want to send information to them and say no thanks. Now, this is better than using Google. You can decide, however, if you want to use Brave, if you want to use DuckDuckGo, Google as an example. So I'm going to click on the hamburger. I'm going to go to settings, and then I'm going to search for search engine. You can set the search engine for your normal window and private window, but decide what you want to use. Do you want to use Google? The problem is Google is doing a lot of tracking, so you may decide to use Brave, or you may decide to use DuckDuckGo as an example. But I'm going to set the start page because I want to use Google results, but keep it anonymous. I'll do the same for the private window, set it to start page. So now, if I open up a new tab and I search for my name, as an example, notice we are on start page. Start page is doing the searching here, so I get the power of Google results. Anonymous. Our privacy is being eroded, quite frankly, taken away from us in a crazy way by governments. Examples are the UK as well as Australia. Notice Australian age verification is coming to search engines with huge implications for privacy and inclusion. Crazy stuff happening with search engines like Google. So I just think it's bad the amount of original privacy that's taking place by governments these days. So you can decide which search engine you want to use, and you might decide to use a VPN. Proton VPN, because of the UK age verification, has seen a 1,400% spike in signups. Huge increase in signups because of this change in the UK, where Ofcom is set to begin enforcing the Online Safety Act, requiring adult sites to verify the age of their users. So, in people using VPNs, but I don't necessarily agree with all the politics about all of this. But personally, I just don't like the fact that privacy is being eroded. The UK is pushing, I think, crazy ideas like this where they want to limit children to 2 hours of screen time a day. Now, I believe that children should spend lots and lots of time on their computers, but I don't like the fact that the government is now going to try and control what we are doing. Just think about the privacy implications of you having to upload ID or your passport to various sites or your likeness to various sites. And think about the data breaches that are taking place all the time. Avabi Pone tells us that almost 15 billion accounts have been pwned. Data breaches are happening almost every day. Do I trust giving my ID, my passport, driver's license information to some company just so that I can use credit as an example? It's just things. I know you talked about this, but I think you probably want to use a VPN in today's world. And before I talk about my favorite VPN, which is Proton, bring anything with this contract, let's look at some more settings. When you do search for diagnostic information, I definitely don't want to send diagnostic reports to the developers. And I don't want to automatically send daily usage pings to Brave either. I want privacy. I don't want people to know what I'm doing. So I will lock all of that down, shut those options down. So now if I open up a new tab, notice it's very, very basic. Under Get Started, you have various options here, like Startup, open a new tab page, continue with F12, open a specific page or set of pages. I like that. In some cases, I'm going to open specific pages every time I'm going to browse on a specific user account as an example. Under appearance, lots of options here. You can decide on theme, dark or light mode. I have turned off bookmarks, but you can decide to change that. You can hide the bookmarks button. I don't want to show you the Brave News button. Various other buttons are turned off. You can turn off the sidebar button as an example, VPN button, etc. When you start typing stuff in the address bar, like notice here, I'm going to start typing. It's giving me information already. You could decide to turn off the AI. I don't like AI's privacy point of view, so I want to disable that. We might want to disable quick commands, bookmarks, etc., and only get suggestions as follows. So you can play around with those options and see what works for you. You can decide how you want to use tabs. I'm going to show you a bunch of options now with regards to privacy and security. It's a little bit boring and tedious, but it's well worth setting some of these options. If you don't want to go through the hassle, simply use Brave with the defaults on the VPN. It's better than using hard VPNs, but these enhance your privacy and security. Now, there's some recommended privacy settings in Brave. These are outlined on the privacyguides.org website. We are told that Brave includes a built-in content blocker and privacy features, many of which are enabled by default. If we have a look at some of those, we're told that Brave provides advanced privacy, so privacy by default. It uses Brave Shields, which blocks trackers, cross-site cookie tracking, fingerprinting, and more. It also has advanced protections, and you can read about their policies and practices on their website. But let's have a look at things that we need to change. So recommended Brave configuration. Back on the hamburger, I'm going to go to settings. We're told that under Shields, Brave includes some anti-fingerprinting measures. We suggest that you set it to follow globally. So we're going to set aggressive the trackers and blocking. So on the left-hand side, Shields, we want to set this to aggressive. Select strict on upgrade connections to HTTPS. So let's do that as strict. You can optionally block scripts. You need to be careful with this because it might break some websites. You may want to enable that, but be careful that it may break some websites. So if it does, then you can turn it off. We want to block fingerprinting. That is done by default. We want to select block third-party cookies. That is the default. Check forget me when I close a site. We are told here that if you wish to stay logged in to a particular site you visit often, you can set exceptions on a per site basis by clicking on the shield icon and unchecking this under advanced settings. Again, the shield option is here, and then you can go to here and change options, but they will recommend forget me when I close the site. From a privacy point of view, we don't want the cookies, and then uncheck all social media components. Allow Facebook logins and embedded posts, disable that. Allow X embedded tweets, turn that off. Allow LinkedIn embedded posts, turn that off. Now under privacy and security, we have some options that we can select as well. So they tell us select don't allow sites to use the V8 optimizer under security, manage V8 security. We're told that this reduces your attack surface by disabling some parts of JavaScript JRT. So that's found under security, manage V8 security, don't allow sites to use the V8 optimizer. Now you need to decide for yourself. There's always a balance between security versus ease of use. Here we're setting a bunch of options, but it has to do it. Well worth it if you don't want to retract. Now we're told select automatically remove permissions from unused sites. Now one thing that's nice about this is you can simply copy these values and just search for them. And then try to find permissions. So we're told that that's the site shield settings, and it's highlighted here automatic remove permissions from unused sites. That's enabled. Disable non-proxy UDP. So we simply search for that because it's easier to search that way. So under web RTC IP handling, disable non-proxy UDP. Uncheck use Google services for push messaging. So I'll search for that as well and make sure that that's disabled. To redirect AMP pages, search for that, and there it is. Just below it, order redirect tracking URLs, that's enabled. as well, and prevent sites from fingerprinting being based on that. It's checked as well. Being raised. Problems with the website, you can disable it. So if the website is not showing properly, then disable your shields. Another great thing is that you can run tools in Reddit. So now you want this user's tool while the traffic is being relayed. It's things much slower. It's a website as an example, and view that website through the tool network. Go to YouTube as an example. Find that some websites will block you if you don't allow you to connect. It can also be very slow. You may have to answer quite a few captures, but this is a very safe way of accessing the internet. I really want to use Tor rather download the Tor browser. This gives you something if you just want to use Tor rather than using a VPN, using the internet natively. This is another great option available within Tor. Now, one of the problems with just using a browser on your computer is that your IP address is exposed. I personally use and recommend Proton VPN. That is my recommended VPN. On the Privacy Guides website, they also talk about VPNs. Their top 3 private VPNs are Proton, they list us, their top private email from mail, and then they mention others. I've been using Proton VPN for a long time and started using the recommendations of others in the privacy space as well. It's a fantastic book for interest in privacy, extreme privacy, what it takes to disappear. Lots of great advice from Michael Basil on his website, Intel Techniques to essentially he recommends Proton VPN, desktop, mobile, and within a PFSense firewall. So his recommendation, but in his book, actually got a digital copy of his book here, he makes a really good point, which I agree with. Recommending a VPN provider today is similar to claiming a preference for the best version of Linux. No matter what I say, I will offend someone. Please note that any reputable VPN provider is better than none at all. However, I do believe that some are better than others. I currently use and recommend Proton VPN as my exclusive VPN provider, and almost all of my clients possess a Proton VPN account. You can buy his book, excellent book, that gives you a lot of information. Here on his website, he gives you some reasons to go with Proton VPN. Now, there are many reasons. As an example, they're based in Switzerland. They're not exposed to many government invasions, available to Five Eyes, Nine Eyes, and 14 Eyes countries. US borders are ignored. But one I want to highlight is you can pay in cash. You can also pay in Bitcoin. So if you want to get a Proton VPN account and you don't want to pay using PayPal or credit card, etc., just send them cash. So there are some restrictions. You can send the cash to the following address. You do need to register for a free account, and then you need to send them the cash so that they can have their account. They also do something similar to Bitcoin, but that's great. So not only are Proton highly recommended by many, many people, there are various options such as Proton Mail. Highly recommended to use Proton Mail if you want a private email solution instead of using Gmail. Proton VPN fantastic. We've got other options such as a password manager available from Proton. They also have storage, docs, etc. They are sponsoring this video, but I would recommend them even if they weren't sponsoring this video. Don't take my word for it. Have a look at Michael Basil. Have a look at various websites such as the EFF, as well as privacyguides.org, and see their recommendations. Do your own research and decide for yourself. But personally, what I use every day online, Brave. Let me know your thoughts. As I said, recommends you're going to get a lot of hate. Which browser would you recommend? Which VPN would you recommend? Those in the list, giving you some resources. Have a look at this. As an example, so learn how to get tracked. They have tools, guides, bunch of other options there. Fantastic information. One of my favorite. I recommend that you have a look at this book. Links below if you're interested. Amazon as an example, or just go to Intel Techniques and you can get an online PDF of the book. Again, let me know your thoughts. I'm sure I'll get a lot of you're always going to get that when you recommend these kind of things.
Hate is gonna hate.
Brave blocks recall from screenshotting your browsing activity.
Yo.
1984. So
Stay quiet. I'm not gonna stay quiet. I'm gonna talk now, motherfuckers. Shit. Stay quiet. Still being decent.
Arch Linux, the distro that breaks you before it builds you. They say Kali is for hackers. They lie. You install Kali and boom, you've got tools. Metasploit, Nmap, Wireshark. You feel powerful, dangerous, but deep down, something feels wrong. You're not earning anything. You're just clicking shiny buttons. It's like buying a katana and using it to cut cake. Then you hear
This Adrian? Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
wow, this recall feature is amazing. I can see everything I was doing on my computer last week. Like, blue screen, crash, Windows update stuck at 99%. Everything. Hey everyone, I'm Sam Tucker from Microsoft. You may have heard recently that people are very concerned about the new virus in Windows that'll take us out of everything you do on your computer, from your online bank account numbers, medical records, and even the cheeky websites you visit, like Parts Technica. And our experts have found out that this incredibly invasive spyware is called Recall, and it'll come pre-installed in the new Windows. That's right, we made this software to make searching on your computer easier for you and anyone who has access to your computer. So it's not feature. Just not so much a feature for you as it is for hackers. In fact, our marketing team has put together an infomercial just for them. Are you tired of working day and night, hacking into people's financial accounts, only to find out they don't have any money to steal? Well, don't worry, because with Microsoft Recall for Hackers, our AI will help you hack users more efficiently than ever. For example, you could ask, hey Recall, how much money is in Fred's bank account? Hey Recall, what's Stacey's credit card number, expiry, and 3 digits on the back?
They're all 7.
Hey Recall, what's the home address of that guy who just bought a block of gold?
Sure, they're right next door. Here's their schedule so you know when they're out of the house.
Thanks, Recall. See everything our users type in, from home addresses, phone numbers, and even passwords. Like this user's password is ... Okay, screenshots can't tell you everything, so you'll still have to do some hacking. But don't worry, if your hacking skills are not what they used to be, and you're a little slower now, well, we store these screenshots on the computer for 3 months. So you can take a holiday and hack when you get back. The all-new Recall spyware for hackers, coming pre-installed on everyone's computer to make your life easier. Okay, I see how this might be a problem. So what do we do? Well, we have released a statement saying that we will now be encrypting these snapshots, which is what we said we already did, but this time it's for real. Promise. Also, we have decided to make the Recall feature opt-in on Windows, so that users have to decide to be spied on. I thought installing Windows would have been permission enough for that, but whatever. Also, if you get one of the Intel or AMD Copilot Plus PCs, then you're in luck, because those computers come with those AI features at launch. So I guess they're technically... Well, that was worth the upgrade, wasn't it? Soft Call of Recall. You know it was a bad... The name says you should take it back. Return.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. Ain't it? Beautiful city. Hey Jay, you walking? Are you walking, Jay? Rain. Rain. Is a party going on? Is a party going on? Okay, let's come here.
Hi, Alison.
Morning.
Am I going to the airport?
Thank you. Morning. How are you?
Thank you.
International. Oh, in 20 minutes.
Fine.
And here we are.
How many Tiger, and yet they still continue to prosecute war? How many years have we said that Ukraine is it's just a matter of time before Ukraine wins? How many years have we been claiming Ukraine is winning? Push back Russia, right? How long has it been going on? The media from the West is either clearly flawed, intentionally slanted, or they don't actually have the funding to understand what real news is. And it's been crystal clear now. So moving forward, I hope all Americans understand you can't trust what the media has to say because they don't fucking know.
I think we got that.
Right?
We got that message. Yeah.
What you're seeing with Russia playing out that's so incredible is a number of things, right? First, Russia understands, Putin specifically understands how to carry out a long-term conflict and the strategic benefits of carrying out a long-term conflict.
Did he want that to happen though? That's what I mean. When I say paper tiger, I don't mean like they're worthless and can't do anything. I mean, if they were going to be like the U.S., this would have been like Desert Storm, and it wasn't. Like, so did he want this to be, fucking 3.5 years in?
No. I think there were changes. There were several changes in strategy. Okay. Right? Just like we were talking about with intelligence, right? Strategy one was like, let's storm in with all of our oldest tech. Let's just run in there, run roughshod, get to Kiev, knock this whole thing out of the park. Right? That was strategy one. And he had generals in place that must have told them they could do that. And the whole idea was basically just dump all of our old shit in there and keep our new shit back, and we'll keep selling it. Because remember, Russia's the number 2 largest weapons exporter in the world behind the United States. Right. That's there. Using a modern tank is a double loss. You're putting it into conflict because you can't sell it, and you run the risk of losing it in conflict and having somebody else find it and reverse engineer and all sorts of other shit. So that was their first strategy. Obviously, it didn't work. They thought they were going to win in 2 weeks. The intelligence assessment across the world was that they would win in 2 weeks. Yeah. Right? That's not like a few people who made a bad call. That's basically every first world intelligence service. Everyone thought that was how it was going to play out. It didn't. Strategy changed. Once the strategy changed to a prolonged conflict that they were trying to execute, and then the strategy changed the third time. Let's use the winter in our favor. Right? And you've seen Russia go through multiple heads of the military administration. You've seen them execute multiple different types of strategies. Well, two is that once the war machine is spun up, the economy starts to rely on the war machine. So Putin has no reason to spin back to war. And if he's going to pull back, if he's going to agree to a ceasefire, if he's going to give Zelensky the chance of even possibly staying in Ukraine, if any of that's going to happen, he has to be able to claim a massive victory for the Russian people. That's the only way it's going to work. One of the biggest tells that you understand Russia's winning and Ukraine's losing. And let me make this very clear. Russia is winning, Ukraine is losing. And the way that you know that is because when the negotiation started, when the U.S. started to broker negotiation, the first people to say yes were Ukraine. They both tried to say no for a while, but the first person to cave was Ukraine. In any negotiation, the first person to accept the terms is the one with the least amount of leverage. That's one of the big reasons why in a negotiation, you want to keep the negotiation going. You don't want to reach a rapid end because the first person to agree to the terms is the person who accepts the leverage is not theirs.
But now they've kind of tripled down on that in the other direction after that, because now they're like, oh, we won't go to the table at all. That's what Zelensky's at least saying publicly.
Yeah, because Russia didn't go. Russia
So now he's trying to say, well, fuck you, I won't go to.
And Europe is trying to do whatever it can do without the United States support. Everybody's trying to figure out how do you keep Ukraine going without the United States, because we're all just waiting for the United States to say fuck this. Trump has already said if these two aren't going to agree to something like reasonable, we're out. Right? Not our problem anymore. That puts all the powers in Putin's court.
Yeah.
He has no reason to accept the ceasefire. The war machine is running. The economy is doing better than it was before. He's got all the strongman benefits that we were just talking about with Erdogan and with Netanyahu and around the world.
Whatever happened with all the sanctions too? Because that was supposed to choke them out.
And it increased the value of the Russian currency instead, right? Because Russia found new outlets. It started working with Iran, started working with China, started working with North Korea, started working with India, right? All these American allies started supporting Russia because of Russian oil and because of Russian resources. So Russia's in a strong place. Ukraine's in a terrible place. Europe's doing anything it can because Europe still believes, well, it's not really true. Europe knows they're not really fighting for a democracy. Now what Europe's afraid of is a stronger, emboldened Russia. The amount of fear in Europe about Russia really is kind of remarkable. It's not until you talk to Europeans in Europe that you really start to understand how afraid they are of Russia.
How much do you think they should be versus they're overreacting?
I think that there's a cultural element for sure, right? There's a reactive element that's cultural for sure. But there's also a justifiable reason because Russia doesn't belong to the European Union. It's not part of Europe. It's located in Europe. It's massive. It's bold. It's a strongman leader versus the rest of Europe, which has traditionally not been. It doesn't play by the rules. So there's an element there where they are definitely the wild animal that you have to worry about that's in your backyard. So I get that. At the same time, they don't have the modern technology. They don't have the organizational power. They don't have the alliances to just go in and take Poland, right? Even though everybody in Poland is afraid that Russia is going to invade Poland.
I feel like there would be, you want to talk about a NATO response and something like that. If they went and actually tried to do that, right, with Poland, that's not one of those
there's no ambiguity there,
right?
Like there was with Ukraine,
right?
And I think Putin understands that. But what Putin is a smart guy. He's been a smart guy ever since we said he had a brain tumor and that he was going to be ousted from within. Remember that train?
He was looking sketchy. Remember he was shaking and holding the table and stuff. There was a minute there where I was thinking maybe he is really up and this is his last act. But it's been 3 years now. I mean, he's a fucking bulldog.
It's true.
What to tell you.
It's true. So he understands he's got all the leverage, and he even understands his leverage over Trump, right? He knows that if he accepts Trump's ceasefire agreement, it makes Trump look stronger than Putin. But if he holds back and he pushes back and forth a little bit, now the world is like, oh, maybe Trump's not as strong as Trump is. So now, even if he does accept the ceasefire in 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, right now he didn't enable Trump to fulfill his promise of ending the war on day one, which means Putin's not fully under control of Trump, which is exactly what he wants the world to think.
Right. Do you think we're going to see Trump kind of follow through on some of these things and stop funding Ukraine and force the hand here?
It would make a lot of sense. It would make a lot of sense because what benefit we got from Ukraine has already been received. Our weapons are field tested. We understand how Russian strategy works. We've seen Chinese and North Korean troops fight for Russia on Ukrainians. The benefit's there. We've got it. We're good. And there's still going to be more conflict that we can watch. Now it's time to see, how does conflict play out in Syria? How does conflict play out? How do the Israelis go through about cleansing, the West Bank and Gaza? There's plenty of conflict for us to watch and learn from now. What we had to learn from Ukraine is essentially over.
On a totally separate note, there was something that happened in between the last time you were here and now. And that is, you had, well, obviously Trump won the election, but you had all these transparency promises happen. And I'll give him credit on one. There seems to be a lot of JFK files that were released. I think it's 80,000 pages or something like that. It's something. It's a lot more than any president's done. But the other one he talked about was, we're going to release the Epstein files. And it was really disappointing because they brought in all the fucking Twitter influencers, got a photo up of them holding up a fucking binder like it was new information. And as far as I have seen, and Alessi, maybe you can also retweet this because I know you've been investigating this a bunch, but as far as I've seen, there is nothing about the case that has come out that I did not already know, and therefore people out there didn't have the ability to already know that was public. Is that fair to say? Yeah, nothing. Okay. And we haven't heard anything since, and it's not helpful when you look at the fact that Donald Trump was a guy who ran around in New York. Jeffrey Epstein touched fucking everyone, no pun intended, who ran around New York at that time, right? So I'm sure there's, something in there that looks less than interesting. But do you think we will ever get any truth on Epstein and who he was? And I've heard you talk about this now in a lot of other podcasts besides being in here. Would you say he was definitely an intelligence asset? I'm not saying a full-blown spy, though that's what I think he was. I know there's room to maneuver there. Would you say that he was at least someone who was gathering intelligence and giving it to other people?
It's highly likely that Epstein was an intel target. I would also say that there's a high probability that as an intel target, he was also someone who communicated intelligence assets, like intelligence insights, intelligence reports, personal assessment, contact information, targeting data to foreign intelligence services. Because just like he ran with all the muck of the mucks in the United States, he ran with all the muck of the mucks all over the world, right? That's exactly the kind of person that becomes an access agent in the world of intelligence. Somebody who can connect you with other people, someone who becomes an asset for intelligence purposes. The probabilities are just too high to reject. The chances of him never having actually been approached by a foreign intelligence officer, the chances of him never being identified and bumped and developed is almost nil, right? It just doesn't make any sense. Any professional intelligence service would see a guy like that as a connector and be all up in there. But that doesn't mean, like you said, that doesn't mean that he was a witting intelligence asset that had agreed to work for, you name it, the Cubans and the Russians, right? Been the kind of guy who accepted to work for multiple people because he thought he was smarter than all of them. Who knows? It's possible. When it comes to his intelligence activity, I don't think there's any reason for us to reasonably expect we'll ever know. Because if he had an intelligence, it's going to be classified in a completely different system, a completely different classification process than everything related to his criminal trial. So that will forever be locked away. It's just like any intelligence activity of CIA or FBI or Secret Service in what happened to JFK. Permanently going to be locked away, classified under a completely different classification code.
So you had a hilarious segment, I might add, with friend of the show, Lou Ferrante, on Piers Morgan, which was the funniest crossover. Alessi texted me, he's like, "You're not going to believe this." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Lou was here the day before that." He's like, "Lou just went on with Andy, and it got biblical." I was like, "What?" And I watched it, and for 40 minutes, it was like, this Lou just really doesn't like the CIA, so don't take it personally.
I get it.
It was fucking hilarious watching you guys go back and forth, so highly recommend. But, there was one thing you said in there that I just unfortunately think is 1,000% right. And you said, if there were any files that were created back then that would actually show this, if they were even created, and I do think they were created, they were destroyed a long time ago, probably back then.
Yes. People need to remember Gina Haspel became director of CIA in like whatever the fuck it was, 2016, 2018. And she destroyed evidence because she was told to just, you know what? I'm a good government employee. I'm looking for my pension. I'll do what I'm told.
Money, money,
Come on, people. If we're still fucking eradicating evidence that implicates CIA and illegal activity in Guantanamo Bay in 2018, you think we weren't doing it in 1962? So it is a reality we have to accept. Yeah. So will we ever see it? No, it's either fully classified or it was classified and then destroyed to make sure that there's no trail to follow. Once you can palate that, then you can start thinking through the reasonable reasons why a government would choose to destroy things like that, right? It goes back to the beginning of our conversation. The government keeps secrets from the American people so that the American people can have a shadow of doubt that their government is competent, right? If these kinds of files existed, if this evidence existed, people would land on the side of my government is incompetent. And that's not how a government survives.
So Amy, it's just you and me in here. I'm but it sounds to me like you're admitting you guys whacked. Is that fair to say? There's no cameras, don't we?
I wouldn't say that that's fair to say. I would be willing to bet that there's going to, if and when new information comes out, I promise you, people will only be wildly disappointed with that's how it's going to turn out.
On that.
That is the guaranteed outcome, right?
But you didn't do it.
I wasn't part of it.
Did they have like a fucking pizza party the first day at CIA where they're like, here's all the shit we actually did, and you guys just can never tell anybody?
No.
That's what I would say too if they had it. I'd say no.
They have a parade of people who come through who talk about how amazing their job at CIA is. And it's not until you're like 2 or 3 tours in that you realize that all the people who were there to greet you on your first day are all people that weren't in the field on the first day. So how good are they at what their job was if they could be sitting here telling us about how great it is? They were clearly not the people in the field. It's a bass-ackwards thing when you start to realize
bass-ackwards, I like
that the people who train you at the farm are not the best and brightest in the CIA, because the best and brightest in the CIA are the ones in the field. The ones that are training you are the ones who had affairs, had substance abuse issues, had mental breakdowns, whatever else, and now they need a 2-year cooling off period. So that's why they're there to tell you how awesome the CIA is when you first show up for your orientation.
You know, people ask me about you all the time just because I've known you for so long. You've been on so many podcasts, and you know, we've had a lot of in-depth psychological conversations about the worldview you come from and all that. And people are just like, you know, what's this dude like? And one of the common questions I'll get is, how serious is he about fucking disappearing? Like the curly-haired CIA guy, which I will take credit for telling you not to cut the hair. That was 100% me in my parents' kitchen 3 years ago telling you not to do that. But they're like the curly-haired CIA guy who's on every fucking podcast known to man. He's been seen billions of times. At this point, it might, if you include all the clips and everything, it might be tens of billions of times around the world, is suddenly just gonna like go off the map with his family. And I always answer the question. I hope you correct me. I always tell him, I'm like, he's dead serious. You will literally, like, I'll have a day where I'm talking with him, and then I probably won't ever talk with him again.
I will probably talk to you.
Damn it! That's not helping.
I will probably talk to you. I will talk to you. I can only count on one hand the amount of people I'm going to keep in contact with. But
I'm on the one hand?
You're on one hand.
Yo, look at that. Yeah. All right.
Well, that's all right.
I'm going to go report to the world what's going on.
Yeah. I'm going to send you snail mail from a P.O. box somewhere. But 47 years old. That's my age, man. I just turned 45 a few days ago, a week ago. So I'm super excited for 47. 47, everything changes, and I'm gone.
Why are you doing that?
Why am I disappearing? Yeah. Dude, because I'm building a business. I'm building a process. I'm trying to build something that will last, that doesn't need the name Andrew Bustamante, right? There will always be CIA. There will always be former CIA officers that are coming out that can tell you more recent, more current, more relevant information about CIA's problems. Things evolve. Things change. USAID had a place and a time, and it overstayed its welcome. I don't want to be one of those names that overstays my welcome, right? I want to have my impact, make my commitments, help where I can help, and then move on to where I'm needed next. And by the time I'm 47, my son is 14, my daughter is 9. That's where I really want to focus my effort on them.
But you're taking them with you wherever you go.
Correct.
And you want to leave the country and disappear.
Currently, I have between 3 and 5 locations that we're looking at overseas. All of them are getting scouted between this year and next year.
I'm going to look at the flight manifest.
If we're taking flights.
Fucking smuggling this kid in a Cuban truck boat. This is how you learn.
But yeah, that's the whole goal. And then I just want to focus on them. The business should be running, passive income to my paycheck can go to a unmarked account somewhere where I can draw on it from a foreign country, and
Change your name.
Country will still exist. No, I don't want to go through that process.
But you'll take the CIA mask and face and hair off.
All that'll go away. Yeah, all that'll go away.
And then really like an Asian guy under there.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah,
I'm the biggest dick Asian guy you ever met.
That was all right, boss. Wouldn't be hard to do. Anyway. Sorry.
Oh, that's just like, this is not what I said. Oh, we know which half.
All right, so you're 47. You're going
47.
on. So that's 2027.
Yep. People get to see me for 2 more years, and then I'll disappear.
You're not going to make an announcement, I assume. You're just going to go.
Yeah. And if I can go earlier, I will. I've got a book coming out this year. We'll talk about it soon.
Yeah,
I've got a book already coming out next year. We'll talk about that when the time comes. And then that's it.
And you're going to be able to reveal where you were undercover and all that.
That's what I'm the most excited about, yeah.
All right, so we'll have you back in a couple months to discuss all that. Start promoting the book. It comes out September. Okay. All right, Andy. Great as always, man. It's always awesome talking with you. Covered the gamut of geopolitics once again today. And you opened up on some stuff today. I really appreciate that.
No, dude, I appreciate you asking some deep questions. And, one of the reasons I love coming back here is because you always genuinely seem interested in me as a person. And that's a CIA trick, dude. You show some genuine interest in somebody as a person and they're going to open up. So I appreciate it.
It's just a Julian trick in my book, but I appreciate that. All right. Appreciate it, brother. Everyone else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me. Peace.
All the bad things. Morning. Morning. How are you? Very well, thank you. How are you? Terminal 1 International?
Yes, good night.
Sure. You got a choice, left or right. It's the same time, same.
Go left.
Left, sweet. Rain all weekend.
It's rained all week, that's for sure.
Yeah. Let me know if it gets too hot. I can put the aircon.
Oh, I'm okay with the window. Just a window here. Have a bad morning.
Fresh air is really good. After raining, the air is clean.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Clatter with the stainless down the middle. Offset. The problem with that is it's a pretty big sheet. Up and out. It's still fine. It needs to be worked. Part of the reason it's got pimples and stuff is it should be like it's all about we already have make it that way. We're not gonna fall into that trap. Yeah. What? Like infrared, but land in the morning on Sunday. Yeah.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Winter.
They all do that call. They thought, they really thought, because they had that supply. They were just and pick it up, that was, take it away. That was the plan. Is it comfortable as it's going to get now? Like, that was the plan. See what they do. They like sue us for that bullshit. We're just going to fall. Incorrect.
That's
We just write them a letter. Bankrupt. Thanks, guys. Even if they still had claims to that, in the letter, we put a bunch of other stuff. All here's the list of stuff we did. Here's a tariff. Some cuts, grabs. You think that's the end of it? 6 months later, Rebel launches. They come up with some clever names. Spice eggs. Just like ducking shit out by them. Can't believe they fired Ben. He had no idea. Yeah, he was happy. Thought he was getting control. Yeah. Should have said it. Yeah, Matt, we never beat. He had no idea. She's a play fair, but I get it. Because Steve, what happened? That email from Steve said that the new guy started. So Steve hired somebody kind of on his back. Laura Whiteley, and then Laura said, "Oh, he's empty." Yeah, no, it's not. They also just appointed two new independent board of directors. He's a consensus decision maker. He needs a committee. He's building a forum. Tell me what to do, guys. Which we tried to do. That. He didn't care. What we showed him was wrong with Stephanie. Yes, he did. Well, he let the one guy fight. Yeah. Well, no, that was the finance guy. The supply chain guy, too. We get that.
that's the Burger King.
Yeah,
Jacks.
it's Burger King, but not.
Yeah.
Just different name.
Someone took it when they trying to open here. Someone took the name, so they couldn't register.
Yeah.
So but the quality also is not as the same as the US.
Oh, really? Not as good?
No, it's very different. Not as good or bad. I think fast food,
Yeah.
but it have a very different flavor.
So is there a Burger King somewhere?
Yeah,
There is.
yeah, there is. Yeah.
That's just totally different thing.
I mean, no, but they call just Hungry Jacks.
Yeah.
But the reason is because it registered.
Yep. The name.
Yeah. Someone was fast enough to register before they move in. They still have the same standards, but the quality is not.
Not as good.
But it happened many countries. They're trying to keep the standards, but it's like the Coca-Cola doesn't taste the same here than in the US.
Yep.
Or in Mexico to the US.
In Mexico is actually better.
They use glass.
Yeah. And they use sugar, real sugar.
Yeah. I don't know if it's me, but glass tastes always better.
It does. Yep. No,
Your whole heavy or hot, so good.
plastic bottles. For that rain.
You guys from the US?
Yeah. First time here and it was raining the whole time.
Yeah.
The weather was terrible.
Oh no. That's winter can be very strange. Some winters have sunny and it stays like spring.
Yep.
And some winters like this year especially very strange because this week it's been snowing too in places that haven't snowed in 100 years almost. What part of the US?
We're in California.
Oh, California.
Santa Cruz.
Oh, Santa Cruz. I think that's where they make the skateboards. Yeah.
Yeah, the skateboards and a lot of surf stuff.
So, yeah. So what's the rate in Australia for you from 1 to 5? Australia, besides of the rain.
It's cool here. It kind of feels a lot like Northern California.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's got that vibe.
It's still with the same dude.
Yeah, it feels pretty similar. Kind of feels relaxed.
Mm. Especially Bondi, right?
Yeah, we didn't make it out to Bondi.
Oh.
But when you look at pictures, that looks the same.
Yeah,
Just like California.
the whole vibe. I've never been in California, but the vibe you see in the movies and the
It looks like that.
mm. Hopefully next time you get better weather.
Yeah. Everybody said that to come back in March.
because December, January, it's really hot. It's steamy and yeah, it's difficult to sleep and yeah. I'd rather to have this honest.
Yeah, because it's cooler.
Yeah.
You can get to see the kangaroos. I don't know where they're at.
That happened to me when first time I was looking around. Where's the kangaroo? It was because yeah, people are saying you go out the house and you see kangaroos everywhere.
You like beer? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. There's lots. I think they're big. Like, big, kind of big.
Yeah, there is a really nice place in South Sydney that you can go to the beach and kangaroos come to you. People say don't feed them because that's what they just go to people.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. It's recommended south from the national park down. The kangaroos more like wallabies, the little ones. You really need to go really into to get the red to see red, which is the big one. It looks like they work out, big muscles.
It's like, where
Yeah,
don't fight them.
they do fight in front of the houses and things. I don't know if you've seen videos, but they do get into fights. And,
Oh yeah, dude.
mm.
Yeah. Bunch of wild kangaroos.
They also have a funny video. They have the dog and the kangaroo because kangaroos, what they do, they trick dogs. And for instance, they get in the water and they trick them so to come to the water. So when they get into the water, they grab them and they drown the drowned dogs. So the hunter, this case, he went to the kangaroo and punched it, and the kangaroo was all like, "What did just happen?"
What the hell?
Yeah, it's super interesting. It's funny. Look, these fucking boys fighting.
Dude, those are big.
They're big, dude.
Man.
And they hit hard. They do hit.
I think their legs are so big. Okay. Oh yeah, this one.
It's the best one,
Wait, does
dude.
it have the dog? Oh, look at his teeing off like he's boxing. Oh, he punched him in the face.
Yeah.
He punched him in the face.
And the face of the kangaroo is like, what just happened? He didn't expect that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I hope you have a great trip.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's crazy. Oh, dude. You drive it slow when there's traffic in Before I even drive and take it out on a video. If it's traffic is stopping one side, you shouldn't go jump to your man. Can't teach experience. And it's called confidence. If you're scared, that's your problem. But is there rules? Where's the rule? Show me that rule that I have to block the traffic because I'm scared. Well, the internet, they always have an opinion. You know what I think about their opinion? Okay. As for the people in the chats telling me, people in chats, you should drive yourself and learn instead of telling me what to do. Wow, that's pretty wild. That is. Let's see, Janta.
I'm still the one who has to pay for it. Hi there, I'm Sam Tucker from Apple. Today, I'm so excited to show you a brand new Apple AI. But to tell you more, we must first launch the Apple Nords. Apple Nords, you're a go, go, go. Oh, look, Captain Grandpa's too boring to have fun. Hang on a minute. Tim, what are you doing on the roof? No, don't jump. You have so much to live for.
Before we get into our platforms, let's talk about Apple TV Plus.
Actually, I changed my mind. Go for it. First, introducing the all-new Vision OS 2. With the new OS, you can turn your old 2D photos into 3D spatial photos. It'll have you so amused until you share them with a floating head. The Mac display function can now go ultra-wide, so you can twist your head left and right and make your work a literal pain in the neck. Introducing the all-new iOS 18. With iOS 18, you can freely move apps on the home screen, just like it's an Android, as in the first one. That's right, at Apple, it's 2008. Also, apps have a dark mode and a tint mode. Even the control center is more confusing now, with multiple pages for some reason. You can even customize the buttons on the lock screen now, just like it's an Android. Yuck! But Android people don't have enough money for an iPhone. Meanwhile, iPhone users have so much money that instead of shaking hands, they just touch phones. And it costs them $20 every time. If you do let your Android friend hold your phone, you may want to lock an app on it so they can't use it. You can even hide apps on iPhone now, although it doesn't look very hidden, does it? Oh, and there is a big update to the Messages app, as through advanced technology and satellite communication, you can now underline messages. Cool. The photo app is getting weird. And to tell you more, here's Chelsea, who's pregnant with anticipation. And who's the father? It's Courage. There he is. Also, you can circle things in photos to make them disappear, such as chargers and headphone jacks.
That's just incredible.
Introduce new audio stuff. Siri without stuff in public. Did it make you look crazy? You can control other people's iPads from a distance now, so you can grab your boyfriend's widgets. And yes, the rumors are true. The iPad is getting Mac calculator, which now works with the Apple Pencil and will automatically solve your handwritten equations. Be careful though, if you divide by 0, it'll start a fight. Get out of there, Craig! Introducing the all-new macOS Sequoia, an operating system that has all the values.
With the new macOS, your iPhone is now an app, so you can control your iPhone without having to reach for it, whether it's right next to you or across the room. No, don't use the Apple Force, Darth Craig. We're not ready. You can now snap windows to corners or edges. Also, Mac is getting serious about gaming, with a whopping 14 games coming this year. Look out, Xbox. All right, here's the moment you've been waiting for. Introducing the all-new or Apple Intelligence. Yes, we literally called it that. If only we came up with an Apple Intelligent name. The AI can do things like summarize documents for you so you don't have to read, write your email so you don't have to think. It can even generate images so you don't have to get rid of that Shutterstock watermark. Time saver. And you won't believe your eyes. Mostly because it only does sketch, illustration, and animations. Not the real-looking ones like Bing can. But it can make custom emojis called Genmoji. Jumanji. So you can just go crazy, making a pig snout, a pair of nuts, or a pregnant man. Oh, no, wait, they actually exist. Okay. Of course, with this new AI, Siri won't just Google your answers. She'll ChatGPT your answers. Well, it's better than nothing. Not only that, though, she can do actions inside of apps now, such as editing photos and pasting them in documents. You can even text Siri, and in the next update, maybe even sext Siri. But, of course, because the AI has so much access to your personal data, like photos, messages, everything, privacy is so important. And that's why Apple Intelligence runs entirely on your device, except when it doesn't. And that's when we use the private cloud compute. Because like we said, you can't trust your information on people's servers unless it's us. Then that's fine. So just shush. The all-new Apple Intelligence. Our AI is so powerful, all of our employees have been replaced by it. Why else do you think? Subscribe to Jimmy. But why do they parachute into their own workplace? Surely there's a door or something. Oh, everyone, thanks for watching the video. And I hope you're excited to use these new Apple Intelligence features if you have the most expensive iPhone. That's Linux. Oh, hey there, everyone. I'm Sam Tucker. And today I'll be trading in my MacBook for a Linux block. Because, yes, over the years I have poked a little bit of fun at Linux without ever giving it a proper, real go. For instance, I installed Linux onto an Apple Silicon MacBook, which is not ideal conditions. I used Arch Linux without a degree in computer science, and I even complained that installing apps was hard, even though I was the one who forgot to plug in the internet. Now, there's about 6 hours left in the day. That should be just enough time to install Linux. I'm sweating already. Oh, I haven't even started and Linux is already stressing me. Now, I've created a bootable Ubuntu USB stick. I figured we'd go with Ubuntu because that's the most kid-friendly, non-nerd edition. In fact, when I was setting up the bootable drive for Ubuntu, the Mac tried to stop me. It said, Sam, no, don't do Ubuntu. It's not worth it. Well, we're about to find out. It comes with loading music. Very nice. It looks like a Civilization 6 boot menu. Install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi. Yes, I want this all just to work out of the box. System program problem detected. We're sorry, but we're not sure what the error is. Try restarting your computer and start the installation process again. Oh, this is not good. All right, first time didn't work. That's to be expected. Let's try it again. A few moments later. Welcome back, everyone. We got it going. Turns out we were trying to install too much at one time. Too many packages. All right. Let's restart the computer. This is a big reset. This is bigger than the Great Reset.
What we want to do is to push the reset button.
Oh, actually launched into Ubuntu. How about that? Check out who's excited. We're installing Ubuntu. Are you happy, bud? Are you happy for Ubuntu? Are you trying to find a more competent operating system? Buddy, we tried Arch, and it didn't go very well. This makes my head sad. I tell you what, I'm going to need a lot of energy to get through this video, and that's why I'm thanking this video sponsor, Charge. and their SharGeek 170 power bank. Now, this beautiful log of power packs 24,000 milliamps of energy that can keep your devices powered all day and still be allowed on an airplane. With 2 USB-C ports and a USB-A, the SharGeek can fast charge 3 devices at once with a massive 170 watt of max output, and with a single USB-C port having 140 watts of max output, you can even plug in your 16-inch MacBook Pro chonk and still have 30 watts to spare for your iPhone as well. And if you're like me and like to take long, hard looks at your charge, then you'll see that through the beautiful transparent design, there's actually a smart display there that gives you all the stats on your current charging situation, which means I now have the confidence to charge in the park. Or on a long-haul flight, I can join the Mile High Charge Club and charge right in the cabin. So what are you waiting for? Share your charge and charge today. And click the link in the description to get your own SharGeek 170 power bank now. Log in Sambuntu. Welcome to Ubuntu 24.1. So the screen isn't upside down. That's a plus. All right, let me search for my apps. Apps, assemble. Let's just see if we can start screen recording so you guys can see things a bit clearer. Capture. All right, looks like we're recording the screen. Hopefully this works. In fact, let's just test. Oh, it looks hideous. Linux screen recording. Gross. Oh, it's already been so Linux. All right. Let's find a screen recording program. OBS. Well, this isn't overkill. This is how I want to spend my entire day. I'm looking into the tunnel of doom and death. This is a metaphor. This is a metaphor for open source. Start recording. All right, so I think it's recording now. Your input can't be open. Check the log. Well, where's the check the log button? Let's change MKV to MP4. Don't play MP4. All right then, so if I were to use Linux so far as my professional machine, it may be a little hard to have a YouTube career without being able to play videos. So things so far aren't looking too good. Let's see what else is on the list. Email. Doesn't look like I have an emailer installed. Please give me an email. Vivaldi has a green tick next to it. That seems nice, although it looks more like a web browser, so that's not actually what I asked for. I'm just going to go with the Thunderbird for now. I must say that when the apps do show up in the App Store, they are quite easy to install. They're just like installing something from Microsoft or Apple, except you don't have to hand over your credit card or nothing. All right, it actually loaded up my email quite handily. Let me test a new email here. Hey, Addy, just testing an email from my Ubuntu machine. Sambuntu, sending message. All right, so we've sent off that message. Let's see if that gets through to the lovely, lovely wife. YouTube downloading. Yes, sometimes a YouTube video, you know, so I can grab little clips from videos and stuff like that.
You have no place on our platform.
All right, this looks pretty good. All right, it's got the video. It's downloading. Bada boom, bada bing, bada bang. Let's see the file. Ooh, it has downloaded the YouTube video beautifully. And I had to pay. I had to pay on that for a simple app that can do this. But on Linux, people care about stealing things and they write your apps for free. Let's have a look at getting some script writing done. So we need some sort of word. Well, let's just type in office, see what happens. Okay, so this is a web browser, LibreOffice. That sounds like an office suite. I'll have one of these, please. Oh, look at this, an error occurred. Please run package manager. Wow, how many errors have we seen in this whole video so far? It's amazing. This is the year of Linux. You know what this? Select JRE. He's got enough attention, doesn't he? Joe Rogan trying to get in on my Linux. Oh, what do you know? We have a freaking error already. Good God. I just opened LibreOffice. It said, create a database. I said, sure. Would you like us to do it all automatically? I said, sure. What does it say? Database could not be established. Now, whose fault is that? That's right, not mine. Text document. Looks good to me. All right, you can do text. Thank goodness there's at least that. But the real tricky thing, which I have been fearful for this whole video, is can you video edit on a Linux? Now, they say that DaVinci Resolve, a very popular professional web editing, the software is compatible with Linux, although as you can see, it does not show up in the App Store. And so that's no problem. We can just download it from their website. Okay. Now let's just see what happens if we try to open the file. So the .1 file doesn't run. That's a little bit of a shame. All right, let's consult the internet. So the way we fix anything in Linux is we copy and paste some code we found online into the terminal. All right, it's caching, it's locking, it's doing stuff. You know, I don't know, why do I have to put so many commands into Linux? I mean, God, he only had 10 commands. Why does Linux need 100? All right, so the terminal has for some reason turned into DOS, and I don't know if it worked or not. Now I am become DOS, destroyer of computers. Okay, why? Yes, sudo, type anything. The power of sudo compels you. Oh. All right, so while it's taken a while to do that, let's see if we have a photo editor so that we can do thumbnails on YouTube. I hear GIMP is the way to go. All right, now, are we able to just drag images into GIMP? Let's see. Oh, that actually does work. I didn't expect it to. Drag in the happy man. This is actually kind of working. Okay, how do we make it bigger? Oh, we got a new message from the Y. Yes, it has. Did you send it through terminal? No, we didn't send it through terminal. We send it through Thunderbird. I love Linux. I think I could do thumbnails in Linux. It's just about as good as my usual work. So, all right, let's go back to the hard one of video editing. Okay, how are we going here? It is still apt getting. It doesn't look like it wants to do anything with the DaVinci. So because I value the years that I do have left in my life, I think we'll just have a look at a native Linux editing app, as in an open sourcey one. Kdenlive, let's see if this works. So this is meant to be a video editing software that works. No, actually it doesn't work. I spoke too soon. Package error, cannot get lock. Well, where's lock? Turn the lock and find the monster and bring him to my Linux because he's not working. Be aware that removing the lock is not a solution and may break your system. How many times have I been warned that it will break my system? The system already doesn't work. Breaking it wouldn't make it any worse. Let's try that one more time. Maybe it needs to be a snap. Give me the snap. Oh, Shane, you don't know the difference between a snap and a flap? No. Why do I have to know? Why does an app not be an installing app? Oh, this isn't the type of app you use to install. This is the app you use to have an error. Cool. Let's open Kdenlive. Kdenlive crashed on last startup. Do you want to reset the configuration files? Well, apparently I don't get a choice. All right, here's one of my videos. Oh, look, I'm editing on Linux. Change speed. Oh, let's slow me down. That's a little spooky. Let's fade in as well. Hang on a minute. Is this right? Oh, anything is possible in Linux. Here I was making a mockery every video when really anything is possible. Wow. So there you go. There's Linux. Did it work? A little bit. All right, so I will be fair. A lot of this probably would have gone smoother if it actually installed all those dependencies and extra apps that it says it was going to when I first installed the thing. But in typical Linux fashion, things are meant to work, but then they actually crash and don't. So then you have to spend a few minutes rejigging everything and taking up a lot of your time. But having said that, in the short time I've spent here, actually it's one of the longest shoots I've ever done, but in the time I've spent sitting at the desk, we've gotten email, YouTube downloading, word processing, fun. Hi, I'm Sam Tucker from Apple, and many people often ask us, why does every upgrade cost $200 instead of what it actually costs? Whether it's RAM, storage, or a chip, they're all very different things with very different components, yet magically very similar prices.
That's just incredible.
Well, today we're going to use virtual reality to explore an incredible world where our prices actually reflect how much things cost. Welcome to the whimsical world of AR, actual reality. Yeah, we haven't been here for a while. All right, let's start with storage. Now, customers were surprised to find that the new Mac Mini actually had full SSD inside, which had people thinking that maybe they could buy the cheap base model Mini and then upgrade the storage themselves later. But under closer inspection, you'll notice that this isn't a standard M.2 module. No, it's actually an F.U module that isn't compatible with any of the other storage options on the market. But now let's use AR to turn this proprietary connector into the same one that every other manufacturer in the world uses. And then you'll know instead of storage costing something like an extra $1,200, it actually only costs $300. Oh, but is that storage as fast as the internal one? Well, their number does look bigger than our number, but I'll be honest, I only have Apple Intelligence. And so the only thing I really look for is this Pro word on it, which means it must be good. Wow, we've saved $900 already. Let's move on to RAM. Now, since we changed over to Apple Silicon, we also innovated the RAM so that instead of being able to swap it out yourself, it's now been fully integrated inside the, except it's not. Look, just pop that off like Lego or something. Well, all right, for whatever reason, the RAM has to be this close to the chip instead of this close to the chip, which is a shame for you. Because if it was separate, then instead of 32 gigabytes of RAM costing $200 plus $200, it would only be something like 110, and that's with RGB or BYB pink, which would have saved you another $290. Heck, Thunderbolt's getting so fast now, you're probably wondering why you can't just plug some more RAM in the side, like a USB stick. If only. Unfortunately, technology like that is far off in the past. With Vista, how the heck did that pile of crap do it? Finally, let's look at the chip. Now, the main update between last year's Macs and the new ones is the M4 chip. But since the chip is stuck to the board, if you want to upgrade to the new one, then you have to buy a whole new computer. But what if the whole chip was removable? Then you'd be able to upgrade your chip and your RAM whenever you want. Oh, but can you socket a powerful chip? Well, in actual reality, of course, Epic 9655P that scores 158,000 points for Gryffindor and only costs 10,000. Holy moly! AMD uses Apple Math as well. In fact, all of these chips are pretty expensive. It's like they cost. But anyway, even if you do have to buy a whole new computer, if the chips were able to just pop out and pop in, then theoretically, you could get yourself an M4 Mac Mini and just plug its chip into your M3 MacBook Pro, giving it a powerful upgrade. Or you could upgrade your old M2 iMac, or even make something that Apple doesn't do, and that's an M4 MacBook Air, bringing your current savings amount to a lot. Wow, what a crazy place that would be, huh? Unfortunately, we're stuck in this timeline where Apple says they save the environment by forcing you to buy a whole new computer just to upgrade. But they do wrap it in paper. You're welcome. Come on, guys. No one's going to buy this actual reality. It's too unbelievable. Oh, hey, everyone. Thanks for watching the video. And why not join Sam Reality by clicking subscribe and watching more fun videos. Fortunately, it doesn't cost you $200, although I'm working on it. known for its housing prices, reliable public transport system, being one of the most expensive. So why did I move here in the first place? Well, a big city means more opportunities, including more jobs, more people to befriend or date, and more events to go to. So Sydney becomes a one-way ticket for aspiring Australians and international students to make it big. The thing is, when people mention Sydney, they only mean here, anything on the west side of the city, because this is where all the opportunities are. So you're in the city. Firstly, you need to find a place to live. So let's do some maths here. The minimum wage is $24.10 an hour, which comes to $800 a week, including tax. So if you browse the rent options in the city, you would find something like this. This one-bedroom apartment in the city looks pretty nice and is really modern. But the catch is that you literally cannot afford it. And this theme shares with other one-bedroom apartments. So getting a roommate or two is essential to actually making the places affordable. This place brings down the rent to $600 per week each, which means you have $200 left. Groceries $100, going out $50, and then public transport another $50, which leaves you nothing. It's pretty obvious that the city is not affordable for someone who just moved to Sydney and isn't coming from a rich family. So you gotta make compromises. Oh wait, what? Plenty room for rent in the Sydney CBD? $300 a week? That's really good for the price. Ah, yes, a tiny enclosed balcony that can only squeeze in a bed and desk with curtains as your only privacy. That's barely a room, bro. I found this room in Outside Shitty Rentals, which showcases similar rental places like this typically around Australia. It represents landlords trying to rent out shitholes or small sections of their houses they claim to be living spaces just to make the most money. And they can get away with this because they know that there are so many desperate people coming to Sydney wanting a place to live in, but not enough places for people to move in. So why not create a bunch of shitty house listings just to exploit the housing crisis? It's a topic that most Australians constantly have to hear about, and it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. I'm just sick of hearing about it, because I already know that we are all so doomed. There's no chance of home ownership. I already gave up on that dream. So because of all of this, it's pretty unrealistic to live in the city. So this is where you have to consider other places in Sydney that aren't the city. That's right, you have to go to the west. The thing of Australia is that it's known to be a very diverse country, and with a big city like Sydney, these communities often segregate with own areas. We have prominent Chinese areas, Market, Burwood, Perthville, and half Sydney at this point. It's expected since the highest non-English population in Sydney is China, and you would see plenty of signs with Chinese characters written on them, and groups filled with a bunch of international students or Chinese immigrants. The best thing about these Chinese areas are the food, and there's a checklist to find the best Chinese restaurants. Firstly, all the employees have to speak mostly Mandarin, with little to no English, as well as showing no customer skills whatsoever. So when you go to Google Maps, just ignore all the reviews that complain about how the staff are rude, because that's not going to affect the food. The menu have to be primary in Mandarin or given in a crusty laminated sheet of paper, and then discounts when you pay in cash, because they're clearly avoiding a certain law about work restrictions. Have everything in this list ticked off, and that's when you know you're going to have the most authentic Chinese food in the country. So moving over to this area is the Inner West, which is a blend of white cultures like Italian and English, along with having Newtown, which stands out because of its old culture and LGBT communities. So expect a lot of thrift stores, cafes, and hipsters. Perfect for all the lefties and Ramona Flowers lookalikes. We got the eastern suburbs like Bondi and Double Bay, basically the places that are near the beaches. Honestly, I've never been in this area before because I'm too much of a
Why did you say so?
because this is where the upper class people reside. Houses, $6 million. Salaries, above $200K a year. And these are the average. You see expensive cars being driven around the streets, high-end shopping, and a lack of fast food places since they like to eat pacificatedly with their $33 sandwiches. If you think living in the city is expensive, then you really have no chance here. My first impression here was when I was buying a burger at a food truck, and I just hear a random gunshot, which makes you jump up and look around if he's getting shot at. But instead, I look at the unfazed crowd waiting to order their burger. Just another day at Bankstown, I guess. Although it is worth coming here to see the New Year's fireworks because who did it better? The New South Wales government spending $6.3 million on the fireworks show that lasts for 10 minutes, or a bunch of Lebanese people usually shooting fireworks in the neighborhood all night. Things have happened in Auburn and Granville, which is a part of the Parramatta area. It's a very developed area which gives it the title of Sydney's second CBD, as well as being culturally diverse, especially known for its Indian population. Down to the southwest, we have the battle between the Arabics and the Vietnamese. From what I heard, it was originally just Asians, mainly Vietnamese people, but then the Arabs started taking over the place, leaving the Viets with Parramatta and the Canley area. It's actually pretty trippy as fuck walking around here, since it's like you're transported to Vietnam. You don't even feel like a foreigner. You become the foreigner, as everyone speaks Vietnamese and you succumb to eating pho or banh mi. That's not really an issue because they're really good though. The Mount Druitt area. We have the top 10 most dangerous suburbs in Sydney. Number 1, Mount Druitt. 3,021 serious crimes recorded in a year. Highest number of domestic violent assaults. Highest number of break-ins, vandalism, arson, a case of homicide, and the list goes on. We have a show called Houseos, a satirical parody of low-income Australian residents living in public housing, relying on government money, smoking bongs all day, and having that thick Aussie accent that no one can understand. This show is basically a snapshot of what Mount Druitt is like. So next to Mount Druitt is Blacktown. But if you close your eyes, I know these places sound less glamorous than the city, but you have to live in these areas to actually afford a place. And the further west you go, the cheaper the rent gets. An example is in Bankstown, where you find places to rent for half the price of the city. But the issue is that you have to live in Bankstown.
Morning, Diego.
Apart from that, being further back in the city, there's a lot of
How are you?
And you have to sacrifice a lot of time and money spending.
First stop is that?
Yes. First time in Sydney, but then afterwards you'd be like, so now every time I take my interstate friends around Sydney, they expect me to be the tour guide. But the only things we do here is to eat whatever cuisine is available. Like you go here for Chinese food, here for Indian, and here for Vietnamese. And after we eat, we just walk around the area, I guess. No, I just lied. We actually just go to either of the 15 different arcades around here and just play Mario. Okay, apart from watching at the arcade, it feels like there's really nothing to do here. But I know I'm wrong since there are plenty of events that go on throughout the year to keep you occupied. Starting off with Sydney's annual Light Festival. And trust me, it is not worth going. It's just fucking lights, and then the food vendors overcharge you. Like, it's $10 for a potato on a stick. You're fucking joking, right? You can't consume merchandise, and there's a lot of arts alleys, as well as big conventions like plus Comic-Con and Supernova for you nerds, and then Smash Cons for all you weirdos. Are you into hardstyle or into for ABG baddies? Then there's plenty of raids you can attend. You could join a K-pop dance group, a language exchange program, make friends at a pub, or even start bouldering with the amount of gyms there are. There's so many possibilities. So why do I keep going back to 5? So it has been nearly a year since I moved here, and I consider moving back plenty of times. I just don't want to waste hours of my life sitting on trains and dealing with constant delays. I don't want to spend chunks of my paycheck on rent and food. I don't want to see all the weird, annoying, and toxic people, since a high population means a high chance of encountering such people. But despite all of that, I end up staying here because Sydney is all that I wanted. My life felt stagnant before I moved.
I was stuck jumping from casual jobs every couple of months since there was barely any actual jobs to apply for, a small pool of people to meet, and no interesting events happening around my area, which all prevented me growing as a person since I was experiencing new things. I wanted a new start because I wasn't happy with the life I had. So even when I moved to Sydney with a shittier job and located far away from all my friends and family home, it sounded like it was a downgrade from my experience back home. But I still remain optimistic since I got to experience a brand new life. I got to attend many events around my neighborhood, appreciate foods, cultures, meet a variety of people, and there's so much more to explore in the city since it's so big. From the diversity of each suburb to the culture and inside jokes this place have. Now I understand why people talk shit about the public transport system, or how it feels like going mainland China sometimes. They sound like simple things, but it is what really makes Sydney unique. Even though I didn't start off with the best conditions, and there's so many issues when it comes to living here, being in Sydney meant that I was actually closer to living the life I want.
Sorry. Yep. Yes. That's it. It's the wrong spot, yeah?
I don't know why, because these buildings are all new.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's okay.
it's that one. The red one.
Yeah, this way.
It's talking from.
Sure.
Ellie.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I think
So we're ready? Yeah. Let's see.
so. Travel is always stressful.
Always, yeah. You gotta take your time.
Huh?
You gotta take your time, not
Yeah.
stress. It is stressful, but once you're in the airplane, everything's good.
Very light.
It will be in less than 20 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. This is the reason. Do. Oh wow, it's listening to me. That's weird.
In Australia, you will and order the exact same thing but legally distinct. It's like finding out your favorite superhero is called Captain Australia in one country and you're just expected to go along with it. But Hungry Jack's wasn't just Burger King's quirky Aussie cousin. It flourished. In a market where global giants dominate and fast food chains fall faster than New Year's resolutions, Hungry Jack's somehow made itself a permanent fixture in Aussie life. So, how the heck did a legal technicality become a national icon? Why did Burger King fail in Australia? And how did Hungry Jack's go from 1990s afterthought to Gen Z friendly fast food brand with actual cultural relevance? This is the story of the burger brand that sued its creator, outlived its American twin, and became more Aussie than a servo meat pie at 2 a.m. Let's rewind to 1971. Burger King is expanding globally, likely high on the smell of flame-grilled beef and American exceptionalism. But when they reach Australia, surprise, someone already owns the Burger King trademark.